are here in the first round of Elestriad Season 3 with a clash of epic proportions between the powerful winds of FullFrontage and the lunar caster Werts, who is here to finally show off what Artemis has to bring to the table. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, casters of every element. I am Caleb from the Elestronauts, and I'm here today to be your host for today's clash. But don't forget, there is a Kickstarter going on right now for Elestrals Clash, the upcoming online client being developed for Elestrals that you can back right now. I've made my pledge, have you? FullFrontage is a new face to the Elestriad representing Aeolus. Let's see what he's bringing to his first ever Elestriad clash.
What's up guys, it's FullFrontage here, and we are playing the Wind Spirit in Elestriad Season 3. Now, I'm feeling okay with this deck. I'm going up against LUNAR, which I haven't had a ton of time to play against because LUNAR is one of the newest spirits in Elestrals, but I think we have a pretty decent strategy. It seems like Drakking is the go-to, so we're kind of preparing for that. So here's what we got. We're going to be rocking with 2 P-Gust, and this is going to help us destroy runes. Then we're going to be playing 2 Nemesail. This will help us recover when we get to play runes or Nexus runes onto Nemesail. And we have 3 Toxiswarm to help with some burn. Every time a Toxiswarm receives a Wind Spirit, opponent must expend a spirit. Then we have 3 Sorlet for some high attack, and if we need to change Elestral's positions on his side to have that Sorlet swing over 5 to 1, or 5 to whatever. We have 2 Exaltaires in the deck, which will allow us to Nexus. Then we have 3 Toxion, and then we also have 3 Astrabbit. We didn't have too many Elestrals in there. A lot of our cards in our deck are going to be rune cards. So we have our Divine Rune, which is going to be the 3 Aeolus, and essentially this will allow us to either search for a 1-cost Wind Spirit Elestral, or we can Nexus using Exaltaire and some other runes that we're going to be talking about onto things like Toxiswarm, onto P-Gust, onto Nemesail. That way we can continue to hit and do things that we need to. P-Gust to take care of runes, Nemesail to recover some spirits, and then Toxiswarm to be able to burn our opponents. Then we also have 3 Eruption in the deck. This is the only fire spirit that we're playing, and basically when we play 2, opponent must expend 3. So this is a really good one for us to have because this will help us burn towards the late game because they'll have to expend 3. So if we're getting close to that end game, Eruption is going to be the key to kind of seal the deal for us. Then we also have 2 Nectar of the Gods because, you know, you can never draw enough cards. We also have 3 Ambrosia. This will help us add spirits from our underworld back to our spirit deck. It costs 1, and then we get to add 3. So net 2 positive with Ambrosia. And then we have 3 Circle of the Skies. Yes, so this will allow us to Nexus, which again, pairing with the Wind Spirits that we have, P-Gust, Nemesail, Toxiswarm, those kind of units will allow us to Nexus. So those are huge to have as runes. And then we also have 3 Altar of Stars, same thing, Nexusing, getting the abilities. This is also a counter rune, so this is going to be a great play for us. And then we also have Gorgon's Gaze in case we need to stop anything. Like I said, we're going against LUNAR, so this is going to be mostly in response to like Drakkids or anything like that, or the Drakkings, whatever he can go with us. We want to make sure that we do have a response. And then we have 2 shields to wrap it up. So we had 2 Pyros into the side deck. Into the side deck as well, we had 3 Pandora's Boxes, so that way if there's any special casting from their deck, Pandora's Box will be helpful to have in the side deck, so we can shift over to that. We'll have 3 of those, and then we also have 3 Boom Bats if we need to have some more aggro play to kind of destroy anything. We also have 3 ETAs. This will help us if we're like running into some difficulties with the counter runes that we already have, like Gorgon's Gaze and Shield. We also have the Island of Aeola. We're just playing the Stadium rune in case we need it. Nothing too crazy there. And then we also have a Royal. We only have 1 because of the new ban limitations. All in all, the strategy is go for the burn, go for the plays, see if we can draw the right cards, because that's really what it's going to come down to. This is a very high risk, high reward deck because we're mainly looking for the strategies with the Nexus runes and then going with Exaltaire, having that down, so that way our opponent is forced to expend every time, protecting Exaltaire to stay alive, and then also getting things like Toxiswarm, Nemesail, and P-Gust onto the field, so that way if we need to Nexus from any of the runes or Exaltaire, we can go to these to help either burn recover spirits, or destroy some runes that they might have on their field.
Wind Thunderbird is back, and it's better than ever, with FullFrontage's Wind Nexus deck aiming to generate advantage with Nexus cards like Altar of Stars and Circle the Sky, while burning out his opponent as well with Exaltus, Toxic Swarm, and a very cheeky Eruption in the main deck as well. Werts is back for Season 3, and he's here to represent Artemis in the Lunar Pantheon. Let's see Werts up with his deck.
Yo, Werts is up. So we are playing for the Lunar Casters for Season 3. Artemis is our lad. Last. We're playing Drakking aggro. So, 3 Drakking off the start. Drakking is a phenomenal card. Steal Elestrals, attack, it's got a decent body. Has lots of ways to kind of quick ascend through things like Rock in a Hard Place, as well as we're running Tadpuff, which we'll get to in a second. Running 3 Drakking. Now, Drakking I think is probably one of the worst Elestrals in the deck. However, because the majority of Wind Elestrals have more attack than defense, no matter what position our opponent's Wind Elestrals are in, we should be able to Drakid over them, which is pretty relevant. So having 3 Drakid ready to go is pretty good. To go on with our Rock and a Hard Place synergies, we're running 3 Eddy. We are running a Splash of Water, so we're running Eddy. It's a powerful, probably the best water attacker in the game right now. And there's the synergy with Rock and a Hard Place, which we are also running 3 of. Next up, we got 2 Gloombat, nice new addition to the Lunar things. Kind of similar to Tadpuff, this is special from hand. However, we have no control of when it's specialable. We're running 3 Rabbits, because Rabbit's just a really good card, and we need Thunder Spirits in our deck for our side deck plays, so if we're already running Thunder for our side deck, might as well run Ash Rabbit in the main. 2 Drataguas for a little bit of recovery and walling. Wind, except for Sorlet, has some pretty restrictive attack stats. I mean, Sorlet's the only thing that will get over Dratagua consistently, and Dratagua will heal us if we run into, say, Exaltair. If they run Exaltair out, we go, cool, re-enchant Dratagua, they'll never beat over Dratagua, and we can heal up a ton that way. 2 Tadpuff to quick ascend into Drakking. Even chances of if we already have Drakking in play, we want to just get some extra aggro damage going. Tadpuff. One of Nobby. Nobby's like the worst Lunar attacker in the deck, so we're only running 1 because it's just not that great in testing, unfortunately. 3 Spectaris, it'll just run over Wind things if they try to do Pantera stuff. Alright, moving on to Invoke runes. We're playing a lot of Invokes, or rather 1 Divine. Obviously we have to play the Artemis with the rule set. 1 Resting on Your Laurels because we can only play 1, thanks to new ban list. It should be hopefully useful. 2 Next to the Gods for consistency. 2 Cryoblast because the majority of Wind Elestrals have 2 or less defense. That's Sorlet, Exaltair, Toxic Swarm, basically everything outside of like P-Gust and Aramare that are going to be played will die to Cryoblast, so we're running 2 Cryoblast. 3 Ambrosias, they are probably going to play a burn strategy, so having Ambrosia to heal up is good. 3 Gorgon's Gazes because it's a staple, and then 3 Shield of Achilles. I am running very low counter runes here because I expect to see a lot of P-Gust, so rather than letting them kind of use P-Gust to enable things, I'm just going to force them to just keep answering threats between Spectaris, Eddy, Drakid, Drakking until I can just hit him for damage, and I need to make sure I keep that constant flow going. So we're running really low counter runes, and then the reason we're running Shield of Achilles over PTA is for things like Pantera, or kind of if they try to go ramp stuff, bigger threats than I can attack over. Having Shield of Achilles to bounce stuff to hand, especially 2s and 3s that they can't consistently get back to, will be a lot more useful than PTA, so PTA is relegated to side deck in case they're not doing that at all. Next up, we have our side deck. We have 2 Pandora's Boxes. I could main deck these against Wind, but if they're only playing Aeolus for searching, I'm not too worried about them just using Aeolus, but if they try to do other searchers for some other shenanigans, or like a special sense from deck or whatnot, I will then side in Pandora's Box, but against just Aeolus, I don't think it's quite worth it. Our 2 PTAs I mentioned already with Shield. Running 3 Boombats. This is our counter Flamemoth tech, basically, or counter big beaters we can't get through tech. So if they try to go like Flamemoth ramp stuff, or anything really big that I can't beat over. 2 Dense Fog. We're not maining Dense Fog because against something like Burn, it's alright to hit an Exaltair with, but everything else is kind of mediocre. But it is decent against some of the bigger threats. If they go Falcane and stuff like that, it might be useful. I don't know if I'm going to ever side in Dense Fog though in this matchup. Cryoblast, the 3rd Cryoblast in case we really need a lot of Cryoblast. If I just see they're going straight Wind Burn, we're just siding the 3rd Cryoblast in to just make sure we always get it to hit the Exaltair, the Toxic Swarm right away. 1 of Kerbis, so if we want to eventually go into Kerbis, because again they're doing some kind of Ascension shenanigans, Kerbis is nice to go Rock in a Hard Place, ascend Eddy to Kerbis. Kerbis just self-destruct, pop something, and get some healing back, especially if it's like a Flamemoth again. If we go Miscast on a Rock in a Hard Place, we'll go, oh, I'm not going to negate that. special the Kerbis. Kerbis disenchant to pop a Flat Moth or even protect something on board. Kerbis, Hard Descend again, sacrifice Kerbis, take it out. Kind of like a Boom Bat in that sense. It's also just 9 attack is huge. 2 Atlantis, we have no Lunar Stadium, so I need something to do Stadium Wars with if they're going into a Stadium-based deck. I don't know, like Aramare, Fives, Beater, Island Aeolus shenanigans. I want to have a Stadium available, at least something. And then 2 Tsunamis. This is not that great against Windburn, since Windburn doesn't want to attack a ton because their attack stats are pretty mediocre. But if they are doing something like Fives or something that I need to bring Tsunami against, I will bring Tsunami. I have the assumption that they are playing around Tsunami this entire game, so I'm going to not have my deck to make space for other things, and if they don't see the Tsunami in game 1, maybe I decided in game 2 to just throw them off.
The Drakking is here to attempt to wash out the competition. Werts is playing a very interesting deck centered around playing out a Drakking as fast as possible with cards like Tadpuff and Gloombat. And of course the Drak is to pair with those rock and a hard places. This is shaping up to be an incredible race to the bottom between the burn of FullFrontage and the aggro of Werts. But who will come out on top? Let's go ahead and hop into the match and find out. All right, we are kicking things off here with FullFrontage going first. Gonna go ahead and set a back row face down. Think about what he's got going on here. He's gonna go for a Nectar of the Gods. He's gonna go ahead, pay 2 Wind Spirits, draw 2 cards from his deck to his hand, trying to find those different pieces he needs. He's gonna hit an Astrabbit. Looks like the Nectar of the Gods was well worth it. He's gonna go ahead, play that out in defense. Look at the top 3 cards of his deck. Pick whichever one is his favorite, add it to his hand, and it looks like he's gonna go ahead and just pass back over to Werts after that, who is going to respond with his own Nectar of the Gods, paying out 2 Water Spirits to draw 2 cards from his deck to his hand, trying to keep tempo, trying to keep up with FullFrontage's card advantage. But Werts going to, instead of running something like an Astrabbit, runs out the Dratagua to go ahead and heal back those 2 spirits, basically refunding that Nectar of the Gods for free. Looks like he's gonna go ahead and set a back row, and he's gonna pass his turn back over to FullFrontage, who's gonna draw for turn. Think about his options here. He reaches for a Spirit deck, looking for a re-enchant of the Astrabbit to go ahead, look at those top 3 cards once again, generate more advantage, dig through his deck, trying to find those pieces that he needs, like Aeolus, to go ahead and get those Wind Elestrals running, get the Wind Elestrals burning out. He's going to chant what looks like 5 spirits to that Aeolus, putting a lot of commitment into 1 Divine Rune here. Going to go ahead and disenchant 2 from it to search his deck for 1 cost Wind Elestral. See what he picks out here. There's a lot of great options. Sorlet being a very good option. We'll be able to get over that Dratagua on the next turn, not this turn, since he already re-enchanted at the Astrabbit this turn. And then FullFrontage is going to actually rip an Ambrosia here to recover 3 spirits back to his Spirit deck, and then pass it back to Werts. There's a very expensive turn from FullFrontage here, and he's going to get punished by Werts, who's going to go ahead and go for Rock in a hard place, targeting probably absolutely the Astrabbit, likely the Aeolus, to try and force out that Astrabbit, which the FullFrontage is going to be playing into. Wants to leave those 3 Wind Spirits under the Aeolus, doesn't want to lose that, but going to have to lose the 2 spirits that were under the Astrabbit. Werts is going to go ahead and play out an Astrabbit in attack position. Going to go ahead and now get to do his own effect to look at the top 3 cards, pick his favorite, and play another Nectar of the Gods. Wow. The amount of card advantage that has been generated in this game is actually insane. Werts has drawn, I think, a total of 6 or 7 cards at this point. FullFrontage having seen 4 or 5 just through Nog and Astrabbit effects. Werts going to go ahead and swap that Dratagua to attack position, and he's going to go swinging here for 2 damage. Looks like FullFrontage has no response. Going to go ahead and let both of those attacks through, and Werts is going to pass it back over to FullFrontage. Will draw for turn and play out that Sorlet. Now this Sorlet's going to be able to get over either of these Elestrals. FullFrontage is deciding to play it with a Wind Spirit, which is very interesting to go for that, as opposed to potentially a Water Spirit to play around Tsunami, or a Frost Spirit to try and play around Cryoblast, which we did see in Werts' list. FullFrontage is going to go ahead and use the Aeolus Search to go grab a P-Gust to start threatening that back row that Werts has set. Having 3 sets, that's a lot. He's going to go ahead and swing the Sorlet, which is going to get Shield of Achilles to back to hand. Werts having the responses thus far to keep FullFrontage's board very small and grow his own, allowing him to generate just so much more advantage. He's likely going to be able to swing for 3 spirits of damage here, and he absolutely will, as he plays another Astrabbit in attack position. He's going to enchant it. Look at the top 3 cards of his deck. Despite the fact that our spirit counts between these two casters are very close, Werts is about to take a very massive lead potentially. He's going to play out a Tadpuff. He wants to push the advantage even harder. So he's going to be swinging for 4 spirits of damage this turn. He looks at his back row and he's going to his battle phase to start swinging for 4. FullFrontage is going to Shield of Achilles here on the Tadpuff attack. And then we're going to go ahead and swing for the 3 remaining damage, putting FullFrontage down to only 5 spirits in spirit deck. Werts at a 9, which is a vast difference here compared to what FullFrontage is on. He's going to set a back row. Think about his options. He did search that P-Gust last turn, plays in defense. Nothing on Werts' board can currently get over a defense position P-Gust. So FullFrontage, despite he's in what looks like a bad position, it doesn't feel too bad, except for the fact that he has to go for a Circle the Sky. Maybe doesn't have enough spirits in spirit deck to be able to actually properly enchant this P-Gust. Gonna go, oh, he left the fire spirits in spirit deck. It looks like FullFrontage did not expend any fire earlier in his turn, and so he's out of wind, he's out of thunder, has to use that fire spirit for the Circle the Sky to trigger P-Gust. P-Gust does pop a Gorgon's Gaze, but it looks like we're going to be special casting Gloombat here. Our opponent does have 2 face down runes. He's gonna be able to put in a lot of pressure here, and it looks like Gloombat is going to disenchant to pop a Shield of Achilles. And then Werts also will still be able to normal cast this turn. If he has anything that's large, Drakid might not be it. It depends on if he's got a... Oh, we're going to get Gorgon's Gazed on the Drakid. That means that Werts won't be able to use a Rock in the Hard Place to try and ascend it into a Drakking and push for game here. However, FullFrontage is in a really tough spot where it's unlikely that he'll be able to come back from this position. Only 1 spirit in spirit deck. Very few draws are going to do it. Looks like Werts is going to swap all of his Elestrals to defense position that he can change, and he's going to pass his turn back to FullFrontage. It's going to take a lot from him. He's going to go for the Astrabbit in defense position with the last fire and spirit deck. Things are not looking good for FullFrontage here. Werts looking very confused as to what all these fire spirits are doing in FullFrontage's spirit deck. A very, very cool play comes out here though from FullFrontage, who's going to use the fire from Astrabbit, then Circle the Sky to Nexus, from P-Gust to Astrabbit, that Thunder Spirit that he played under it earlier last turn. He's going to go ahead and grab a card, set a face down, and pass. FullFrontage in a very rough spot here. All it takes from Werts is a Rock in a Hard Place. He's going to go ahead and I believe he's going to correctly enchant it. He's going to target that back row. The back row is going to go. No spirits to play it out with. And he's going to be ascending into the reverse Stellar Drakking. Got to show off the Drak drip. Ascending over that Drakid. Double Lunar enchanting it. We're ascending over the Dratagwa as well, it looks like, actually. So we're going to have a correctly enchanted Drakking. And we're going to... It looks like we probably don't... Oh! So we did this because we want an additional spot on our board to summon out the Specteris to be able to hit over the P-Gust. So we can Drakking over Astrabbit, we can Specteris over the P-Gust, and then we can guaranteed get through for game here. An incredible game 1. We're going to be moving on to game 2. Our casters have sided. Werts is up a game here, and we are moving into game 2. Likely FullFrontage will be starting here, setting a face down rune. Thinking about his play, is going to go for an Aeolus. Likely going to enchant 5, the same that he did last game. Then probably going to go ahead and immediately disenchant 2 to go ahead and search out the deck for another Elestral. Potentially something that he'll want to be playing this turn. A Toxic Swarm, not a bad start. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go ahead and push that card right up to his Elestral row, burn Werts for 1 damage, and then pass it on over to Werts. Werts is going to go ahead and play Drakid, a very solid option here to be able to out this Toxic Swarm. FullFrontage, that back row better be live to prevent the Drakid. Gonna go ahead and use the effect to swap its attack stat with the Toxic Swarm, making Drakid a 4-2, absolutely able to hit over the now 2-1 Toxic Swarm. He's gonna go ahead and play Rock in a Hard Place! It doesn't even matter, the effect doesn't matter. We're going to be targeting Toxic Swarm and likely the Aeolus. FullFrontage absolutely making the right call here, letting the Toxic Swarm go. Drakid ascending into Drakking would allow him to then steal the Toxic Swarm and start swinging for more damage into FullFrontage. Werts going to go ahead and grab, again, the beautiful reverse Stellar Drakking to ascend over the Drakid and just start putting up a lot of aggro pressure here. A turn 1 Drakking is quite scary. If FullFrontage, I don't know what he does to out this, quite honestly. It will take a Sorlet likely. A Shield of Achilles will do it, absolutely. Going to be paying 3 spirits here to return that Drakking back to the hand. However, knowing Werts' deck, it's very possible that he has something like a Tadpuff in hand to go ahead and put a lot more pressure back on the board on the next turn. So FullFrontage really has to take advantage of this open board state here to try and start generating some advantage. He's going to go ahead and go for the Exalt Air on the normal cast. Going to be able to start burning out Werts potentially and swinging for a lot of damage if he so desires. He's going to go ahead and just swing for 1 damage, not going to attack, with, not going to use the effect. Oh no, Werts has the resting! Werts has the resting to destroy the Exaltair. The punish for letting the Drakking go on the prior turn. Not going to use the effect of Exaltair to burn either. This is just going to be absolutely punishing here. The normal summon Astrab in attack position. Going to continue to generate advantage. Continue to generate board presence. Hand advantage. Werts has it all right now. Swing for 1 damage and passing back over to FullFrontage, who's got another Exaltair! Attempting to cast it with a Spirit from Aeolus, which he can't do. But we're going to go ahead and correctly enchant that from the Spirit deck. The question is, does FullFrontage want to use the effect? Because he's kind of missed out on some burn damage here. He's going to declare the effect, and Werts is just going to go ahead and Gorgon's Gaze, not going to want FullFrontage to even Nexus to the Exaltair. Wants to keep those spirits under Aeolus for whatever reason. It looks like FullFrontage is going to just pass there. Actually, it's actually very possible that maybe we're just attacking with Exaltair and we just use it to blank the battle phase. It looks like Werts is going to be special casting the Tadpuff. Probably found that off of the Astrabbit, and we know he's got the Drakking in hand. Drakking is going to come out into no back row. This is a very dangerous board presence for Werts going into FullFrontage, who doesn't have any back row. And it looks like Werts is going to cast out that Exaltair. He's going to go find something to represent that Exaltair. Looks like, oh, he actually has one. He was prepared. He came prepared with an Exaltair to go ahead and swing for 2 more damage. That's 3 for this whole turn, as well as taking out that Exaltair. FullFrontage is going to draw, going to go for resting on your laurels, which he can cast at this point in time. He's going to consider his options. He can only pop either the Exalt Air or Astrabbit. Really, it's a hard choice either way. Astrabbit's going to be his decision. Maybe more confident he can get over the Exaltair. Going to go ahead and cast Boombat, a really good way to pick apart this board. The resting, and then also the Boombat now to destroy the Drakking. The question is that Gorgon's Gaze? It is! It's a second Gorgon's Gaze! The Boombat does nothing! And this might be wholly backbreaking here for FullFrontage, who will be losing the Boombat, which does disenchant in order to use the effect, so it will die after being Gorgon's Gazed. This is looking really rough here for FullFrontage, despite the fact that their spirit counts are equal. Werts is going to draw for turn. All he has to do is re-enchant and punch. He's got a normal cast, though. He's going to go ahead and get out the Drakking, and he's going to swing for not quite game yet. However, it's going to take FullFrontage an Ambrosia to play off of the Aeolus to get there. He draws for turn, looking for it, and that's game, he says. Wow, an incredible showing from both of these casters. Werts really showing off the Drakking. Just the pressure that it's able to put on board, the aggro, and FullFrontage, you know, just coming out trying to show off what WIND can do, playing the Exaltair, playing the burn, and it looks like he just wasn't really able to get the engines going with the pressure that Werts was able to put up with Drakking. It's a very difficult matchup. Drakking puts on a lot of pressure, and WIND just has a hard time with large guys. What an incredible match. We will see you back again for another Elestriad episode tomorrow. Peace out, my Nimbugs.